Two-door cars and SUVs are not so slowly disappearing, but Ford still offers a two-door in the Bronco. We'll check it out today. I'll include a link to the Ford and Draper's website in the description down below. If you have any questions, just ask for Scott. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Pairing this is a turbo 2.3 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy 17 around town, 19 on the highway, with power outputs being about 300 horsepower and then 325 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now the Bronco has the mirrors attached to the bodywork, so you take off the doors, you still have mirrors, and then you've got this satin black decal on the hood. Signature circular headlights with the Bronco, and then I like the contrast with the white and the black in the grille here. This one also has the upgraded steel bumper. It's got recovery points and parking sensors. Altogether, the front end of the new Bronco, I think we can all agree, it looks cool. Now, the base Badlands, which this is, has 33s, well, they're almost 33s, 285 by 70 by 17, so same size as what you have on the standard Rubicon Wrangler. But unlike a Wrangler, it's got upgraded shocks, Bilstein position-sensitive shocks, and then independent front suspension. Also got a cool Badlands decal there on the side, and then rock rail protection from the factory. And this one's got the new black painted top. And with everything being blacked out for the most part, pretty cool look, if I do say so myself. When it comes to key fob features, we have our lock and unlock remote start, and then we've got the Bronco logo there on the back. I also have keyless entry for the swing gate, hydraulic assist to make it so it's easier to open. Like a Wrangler, you've got the window, and cargo space in the two-door, well, not as big. Now you can fold down the seats for a little bit more storage. It doesn't lie flat, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But as you can see, there's actually good legroom for the rear passengers, and then with the boxy design, they've got plenty of headroom, and then you got this giant window in the back, so lots of lights let in. That is OEM. That's hilarious. Anyways, or at least I think it's OEM. I don't know why there would be that on it. That's weird. But taillights, pretty cool looking. We also have a recovery point in the back, and then a full-size spare. Also, the rear bumper has parking sensors just like the front. That will cap things off for the exterior of this two-door. Let's now pop up front. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors, and then the two-door is just an extended version of the four-door front door, so you just kind of have like plastic extension. We've got 860 pounds of payload, so similar to a Wrangler. You got these nice upgraded seats, pretty fancy looking. They are manually adjustable. All two doors are manual with the adjustment, from my understanding. And let's fire her up. Soft touch trim all around the steering wheel with the Bronco horse front and center. Practical controls for the center stack on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you've got your cruise controls. This does have adaptive cruise. All Broncos now get a digital gauge cluster, which is very customizable in terms of the information displayed. It also gives you a fun kind of animation with the different drive modes. The Badlands is going to have modes for both on-road and off-road use, as well as rock crawling. Speaking of rock crawling, horrible lighting, but we have a stabilizer bar, disconnect, diff locks front and rear, and trail turn assist. A little bit better with the lighting, USB port, and you do have some nice stitching on the dash too. Now this one's got a 360 camera system, good resolution with the camera itself. As for the rest of the infotainment system, it's quick to respond. You've got the shortcut bar there on the side to basically have like mini versions of different tabs right here, and then there's also that to go into the different tabs at the very bottom. Physical controls for the radio, also shortcut buttons for like auto stop start for the camera. Dual zone climate with this, heated seats, and a heated steering wheel. Little charge port right there, and then I like this with the Ford logo because it looks like the Bronco front end. Shifter for the 10-speed automatic. It does have a manual shift function, so the plus and minus are 4, and then behind that we've got a drive mode, drive line, select. This does have a part-time four-wheel drive system, but it comes with 4-wheel auto, so kind of like an all-wheel drive car in a way, and then it also has Ford's off-road cruise control. Window controls and mirror controls here in the center. Convertible life, right? Little 12-volt inside. Nice trim on top of the center console. Also, being nice, look at that. Bronco. 6 auxiliary switches up top, and then hard top with this. You can take off the front easily with the latches. The back, you got to use some tools. Badlands, 62,730. Let's see how this performs. Now the Badlands, the base Badlands, has a 4.46 axle ratio. The loaded up Badlands Sasquatch version has a 4.7, so slightly less aggressive axle ratio, but it also has 33s, well, 32.7, and then the Sasquatch has what they call 35s, but they're really 34.4. So still a bigger tire, much wider tire too. This is 285, whereas the Sasquatch tires are a 315. So of a different setup. Now, I've been reviewing quite a few more Broncos because people have been confused by that. There's been a lot of people asking about different packages on the Bronco. With Ford's employee pricing program and everything they've done over the last little bit, the new Fords in general, especially the Broncos, have become a lot more popular. And I think also Jeep's just dropped the ball with the Wranglers so much recently that it's kind of made the Bronco shine a bit. Even though the Bronco's not a perfect vehicle, I think there's a lot to like about it when it comes to what most people use Broncos and Wranglers for. So first things first, the Badlands with these smaller tires means that it is much easier to drive on road. Once you go up to Sasquatch, it's cool, don't get me wrong, it looks great, but you are going to lose quite a bit of on-road drivability because of the lifted suspension. And from my understanding, you actually lose travel with that package, so it's gonna be a little bit harsher. This is comfortable with the suspension. And you know, Jeep kind of does the same thing with their Extreme Recon, where you get the lift, you get the tires, but really it doesn't drive all that well. Now you're gonna get wind noise. There's quite a bit on the sides, and I don't think that Ford's glass is as thick as Jeep's. Yeah, not even close. So Jeep with the new 24 Plus Wranglers has done much thicker glass, so you get less wind here, you get some at the top still, but yeah, Ford, you still get the wind kind of here on the side. But I imagine they'll probably throw in thicker glass to continue to ramp up things with Jeep in the boxy off-road competition. Now the independent front suspension with the electronic rack is great when it comes to on-road driving. It's easy to control, it's comfortable. What I will say is, vehicles with independent front suspension, a solid rear axle, when you go over bumps, it's kind of a weird experience, because the front end, independent suspension, this is what it does. When you go over a bump, if one side hits, it just goes up. If the other side hits, it just goes up. If they both hit, they kind of go up like this. Solid axle, if one side hits, then the other side gets put down. Same thing. Now, if they both hit, you're going to kind of have an up together, somewhat like independent suspension. But if you have one wheel hit before the other, then you kind of have this kind of motion. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, in the Broncos with these independent front suspension, you have the front end that'll go over like that, and then the back end kind of does the solid, because it's got a solid axle, does that. So you kind of have like a bump and then wallow, and it's a weird experience rather than having wallow or bump. I'm starting to like, this is getting really into the weeds. I'm starting to not like independent front suspension solid rear axle vehicles. I'm starting to kind of come to the conclusion that it's like, it either should be independent suspension all around or solid axles all around. The in between, I don't know. But it does mean it handles good on road, and you still get better articulation out back, so it's kind of like a concession. It's a concession. I like how this drives. This is a fun little vehicle. It's got plenty of power. This is why Ford, I think, is really beating Jeep out, is Jeep just doesn't have good powertrain options anymore. The 2.3 and the 2.7 that Ford offers are both, they're not perfect engines, but they're pretty darn reliable, whereas Jeep's had issues with pretty much all their powertrains. So it's like with Ford, you get more power and more reliability with the engine. It's kind of a win to me. Let me know your thoughts on the Bronco Badlands 2-door. But I think this is a fun adventure vehicle. This is what most people are thinking of when they think of a Bronco or Wrangler. And, you know, Ford's not building as many of these because most people want 4 doors. But if you still want to kind of live out that retro dream, well, the Badlands with the 2-door provides a lot of that.